Hi everyone. Hi Pratik, Satya, Christian. Hi. Hi everyone.
Hello everyone, welcome.
Welcome to this new Ask Me Anything session. We are thrilled to have you with us. And yes, thank you very much. So now it's been a bit more than a week that the competition started. And it's already, we received already several submissions. And by the way, let's start checking who did what. So on the ADIA market prediction, we have the leaderboard. So of course, it's the public leaderboard, so it doesn't mean anything. We are still waiting for this phase 2 that will start August 16th with the out of sample scoring. But for now, let's congratulate Anxious James, Worldwide Jeremy, and Efficient Value for being in the top 3, and at least for having submitted, because this is what counts now. So thank you also to all the other people that are joining us. And yeah, we hope that you will be more and more. Okay.
There is a little update on the leaderboard, by the way, this week. If you guys figured out, there is a new column called run/success that gives you how many times someone submitted, how many times he ran his code to get the prediction, and how many times it was successful. So we see that Anxious Gems run quite some runs. So already trying to push the scores. It's great. I mean, just remember that you have quotas and you need to run under this amount of infra and resources that we will provide you with. But anyway, we will.
Yes, great.
Show you guys again.
And also, just before diving into all the questions, let me remind you that you have access to many other resources, starting with, of course, the documentation that you can find on the website. But you have also access to our YouTube channels that you can find on the CrunchDAO on YouTube. And here you have the ADIA market prediction competition, who is here. So it's it's the exploration of the documentation. You have the competition tutorial that you can find, and also the previous Ask Me Anything session that we had. And I think you will find a lot of valuable answers. So don't be shy and just check our YouTube video. You can also subscribe to be sure to be on up to date with everything that is happening on the platform. Okay, so let's start, I guess, with the first question. Let me share the presentation with you. It's here. Yes, so we have quite some questions. The first one is, what type of codes do we upload? Can you explain in detail?
Yes. Okay. First, apologize if it's a bit redundant for the people that are already used to the platform. I'm going to try to make it quick, but as precise as possible. You guys need to submit three functions. The three functions, there are two functions, sorry, and one import section. So when, maybe I can share my screen.
Yes,
I think it
please.
will be better. Let's see, share screen. Whole screen. Yes, this will be better. So if you look at, so by the way, if it's your first time on the platform that you just registered, you arrive on this page. There is all the documentation here that you can easily reach, redirecting you to the Git book with everything you need to know. And if you need to submit, this is here that it is happening. You have a link to a quick starter notebook here. And this is really, really detailed. And here you will get everything you need to submit in a very few lines. So when you submit some code for this submission, you need to submit So the inference code, the code that we will call to make a prediction, and you need to submit your training function also. So the function that we will run to actually train your model. So it will look something like that. If you look at this basic submission here, you have a training function. This training function, it receives some data, some training data, and you need to instantiate your model here. You need to make your training and etc. Then this function will save a model in your working directory, and then this model will be needs to be called by the infer function. And this function is just loading these models and feeding the X-test data and then sending back your prediction. So it's very basic, it's very close to very basic data science work. Just make sure that all your code is called by these two functions. Anyway, there is no stress. Once you have coded something, you can test your model even within a notebook. You can make sure that it's actually running properly and that it will run on our server. So what you can do is just loading the data. You can have a look at it, of course. And okay, no, that's what I wanted to show. There is this test function. So call the CrunchDAO test function here, and this will test your code on 5 days of data. And if you end up with the local test successfully run, it means that it's running and there is no more issue. If it's your first time also, you will have to figure out how to set up your work Crunchbase, but there is a full video on that. I think I will not spend some time here.
Yes, on YouTube.
Yeah, there is 2 basic commands that you need to run: download our package, and then set up your workspace with your token. This token change every 3 minutes, so no worry. There is no security issue here. So again, read the doc, check out these notebooks, and everything is in there. There is no difficulties, really. It's pretty simple.
Great. Let's move to the next question. Let me share again my screen. Up. So the next question is, it seems like the competition is designed for a portfolio that will be updated weekly.
Now this again, it's a bit of a funny observation, because it's your observation, and that's funny that it ends up in the question. I think some people have other conclusion. Obviously, we don't know what is data frequency, and maybe there is some hints if you look into these notebooks that has been provided. So also there is this ADIA Lab-notebooks repository on GitHub. Let me send you a link in this in the forum now. You guys can have a look at it. Here you have a few notebooks, some very interesting EDA has been done by the ADIA Lab team, and also Matteo is going through this all EDA on YouTube, and I think you will get the answer to your question on that videos. Just one hint: if you look at this chart here, you know how many stock are present in each date. There is around 250 days. So if it was weak, maybe it seems a bit small, but who knows? Who knows what's behind? Obviously, we have no idea. The only thing we can see from the data here is that you have between 1,000 to 4,000 entities in each cross-section of time. And this is the only information you need.
Good. To the next question. Is the performance ranking of the 1 week's performance or different period?
Again, here, it depends what's the size of the period. Obviously, that was also a question that was addressed in the first time out. There is a full answer by Matteo about what we can say on the targets. So the Y column, the things you're trying to predict, is obviously some kind of risk-adjusted return for each element in the time cross-section. So you may have stocks. Stocks have some performance in the future, and this target is a reflection of this performance in the future. of that particular entity. But the thing is that you cannot identify what is the name of that entity in the next cross section. So you work in an environment where you have these clouds of data for each date. It's very particular. Again, watch the YouTube video of Matteo. There is more insight into it.
To the next question. In terms of 460 features in the trained data, are they all derived from the price data of the instrument, or there are non-price derived variables specific to the instruments?
So again, here we have no idea what are the features. We have absolutely no idea. I adapt that is only coming from technical indicator already. Feels 460 features a lot for only pricing on one end of one instrument. So I guess it's not, but obviously we have no idea. Anyway, since you don't have the distinction between what is what, probably not a very useful information. Maybe just try to find try to find something that is very generic to select your features. Something that doesn't depend on their meanings, and so try to have a very quantitative, quant-driven approach, a data-driven approach on these to select your features. Looking at the covariance, the correlations, the explainability. There is many techniques to select features, or even select features, then rebuild the more features out of this subsample that you deem interesting. But again, Serafetine, I think the meaning of the feature here is not very important. So don't spend too much time on that, and use a non-specific method to select your features.
Great. Another question. Yes, statement. Yeah, no, question. I'm wondering if it's possible to write the code personally in a Py format, link it to the GitHub, and then submit the collab file. Can you please clarify if this is allowed?
So it's possible for sure. Again, there is a video, I'm going to send the link, of Matteo's showing exactly how to submit using Python file. So there is two possibilities. Either you use our submitting tool. It's a command line interface, so something you use with your terminal, that you can put command onto it, and it's called the Crunch terminal. So it has command like Crunch push, Crunch setup, Crunch test, different commands. So you can, if you want to work with Python file, you install this package, and then you will be able to push Python file, and not just uploading a notebook. If you are a notebook advocate, then you can download the notebooks if it's on Collab or if it's on Kaggle or normal. It's none of importance where it's come from, but you can just drag and drop the file in the submit, under the submit section. So you choose, it's possible. Then maybe one problem here, it's if you submit with GitHub, you need to make sure that maybe your code is not public.
Yes, make sure about that, because otherwise you are giving your code to anyone, and then how can you win the competition in this?
I think it's good to share.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good to share, but don't share your final solution. That's what I mean. Next. Hi. I've had a look at the basic submission notebook, and I'm not understanding one thing. If I train my model locally and then I want to submit it without retraining it, is there a way to do it? How can I upload my model weights?
Well, you have, so it's possible, yes. You have, so it's only possible right now using the Python submission interface, so not with a notebook. So what you will do is when you set up your environment, you will run Crunch setup with your token, right? This we download the data, we create a folder with your username, and it will also create a folder called resources. whatever is going to happen in this folder, in this resources folder, is going to remain. So if you put your model weight in this resource folder and then you push, every time we are going to call the inference function, you just need to specify in your inference function the right path to this model that is pre-trained. So the inference, we just load the model and then input the data to get the prediction. Only problem with that is that you are losing the retraining capability of the system, where when you submit today, if you submit the code, then we can retrain your model, because we can call the training function, which would create the features, etc. And so it's a big difference. It depends if you want to compete with a static model that will stay static for the overall out of sample, which is over 12 weeks also, so it's a pretty long time without retraining. Or if you believe that you want to work with something that will be more dynamic and that will be retrained every date, or every 5 days, or every 10 days. But it's possible, yeah. Just remember, save your model in the resource folder, and every time it will be uploaded by the code, and then it will be used to create a prediction file.
Okay. How do we combine different models? Does the training will save only one model, or can we create model 1, model 2, model 3, etc.?
Again, you can do whatever you want here. So if you want to save several models, work with several models, then retrain several models, just do whatever you want in the training function. You just load the previous model, then you retrain, you update the weight, and for the model 1, you update the weight. For the model 2, update the weight. For the model 3, then at the end of this function, you save the 3 models at the end of the train function. Then in the inference function, load the 3 models, do your ensemble, and make the prediction for the 3 model. So here, everything is possible. Just remember, you have 5 hours of GPU or CPU. So you need to make sure that this ensemble will be able to retrain and average or combine in this amount of time. Otherwise, it may be a big problem, because if this doesn't run in 5 hours, then it means your system is too long.
Great. Hi guys, I have a problem to run Catboost training model.
Yes. So this, yes, it's a good question. It's a problem that arises with Catboost. Just a quick word on that. If you guys are using Catboost, it's a known issue right now with the system. So check this in the documentation. There is a problem with Catboost and the infrastructure. So small problem, but several people asked the question and couldn't find the solution. So here, check the documentation. There is a quick work around this issue. And don't hesitate to please tell us all the problem you have with the system, because it allows us to update and then update the documentation with this known issue section that we just created, by the way, for this problem, and that will be living for the next 12 months of competition, 12 weeks of competition.
Yeah. If I submitted multiple models, which model will be selected for out of sample phase? And is it the model with highest score, or the model with the most recent submission date, or I need to manually select one model for out of sample phase?
That was also a question that was in the first AMA, but yeah, it came again and again. So the last submission that you will do will be used for the out of sample. So the last submission that you will do before August 16. So why that? Because maybe you will be training some model and then you see that you have a very high score, and maybe you're not trusting this very high score. Maybe you started overfitting a little bit. We don't want you to get stuck with the model that has the highest score and automatically select it because it has a high score on the public leaderboard. Public leaderboard is very small. It's only 30 time cross-section. whereas there will be 300 time cross-section in the out of sample. So it's very small. Maybe you have a very high score, but don't try to push the score by trying to be higher in the leaderboard, in the public leaderboard. This is just, I think, a little game. This public leaderboard is just a way to benchmark within each other and see where we are currently going. But obviously, it could be easy to have a very high score in the public leaderboard that will never lead to a good performance out of sample. So be careful about that. And yes, your last submission will be the one selected. So keep your code probably, and then maybe you re-update later something that you knew that works and that has better performance. Maybe in the future could be great to have a selection tool, but we are thinking about it. Obviously, making you resubmit a second time, it's maybe a bit stupid. So we are thinking about it.
Okay. I have downloaded the data from Google Colab to my local working directory, testing with the very same code, and get a different results. What is the reason of this discrepancy? Am I missing anything?
Well, it's very hard to answer this question because we don't know what happened on your side. Will be great. I mean, we are discussing in the forum, I think, this issue already, but it could come from maybe your model is not giving the same result at every run. Maybe your something happened at the moment with the API, and maybe you're missing a chunk of data. We are on it anyway. I think that's a question for the forum.
Okay. Can you be more specific about the retrain function?
Yes, totally.
And that's the last question.
So yes, if you guys have more questions, that's the moment to ask it. Please put it in the chat. Just let me share my screen on that. Ben, my screen. Yes. All right. So when you want to submit, so what I was mentioning before, you can submit with Notebook, you can submit with CLI. Everything is explained here. There is a whitelisted list of libraries. So this you need to make sure that your library is present in this directory. That's a security issue. Anyway, once you have submit, you will see that your submission will appear here. You can have a look at your submission because the system will parse your code and make sure that everything runs smooth. It will automatically create a requirement file with the dependency that you have, even while submitting a notebook. But the question is about when I want to have a score on the leaderboard, I will click on this Run in the Cloud button. And the last question is train frequency. So first question is, did you run a local test? Obviously, you better run local test, because if it doesn't run on local, it will never run on the cloud. You need to choose running with a GPU or CPU. Obviously, GPUs are burning more energy and are more expensive. So if you don't need one, please don't select one. So we try to detect if there is a GPU. There'll be some problem, by the way, with some people that were not detected as a GPU. If you want a GPU, you can still force the GPU use. You say, no, I don't agree running on CPU, and you'll be able to run on GPU, no problem. So this is where you have the information about the question. So at what time interval would you like us to retrain this model? So here, if you put, let's say 10, it means that your model will be retrained every 10 days in the out of sample and for the public leaderboard scoring. So every 10 days, the train function will be called, which will load the previous model, retrain, update the weight, save this new model, then the inference will be made with this train model for the next 10 days. Then there will be another train, retriggered, etc. So every 10 days, you have a new training. If you put 1 here, it means that you will retrain at every date. So this setup is the one that consumes the most infra. This is the most expensive option that you can have. So if your model is very, very light, go for one retrain. If you have an AD model, remember that yes, for the 30 moon of the public leaderboard, you may want to retrain maybe, let's say, twice. So 30 moon, if you put 15, this means that you will retrain 2 times. One at the beginning by default, and one after 15 days. So yeah, for that reason, maybe I'll recommend again to test your code and test how much time it will take. So you have the access to the train frequency even locally if you run crunch test. Here it's the same function that I just described. So if here I have a training that is happening every 2 moon. And if you look in the log here, since I also ask for a retrain at the first date, which is not necessary, let's say you train your model with the train data and then you don't want to retrain, maybe that's the best setup, by the way. Here a train were requested, so you see on the first moon we have both train and infer function that are called. On the second moon we just call train, so we use the same model. On the third moon we just call the infer function, and then on the fourth moon there is a train and infer function happening. Then at the end of this function here, you can see how much time you needed to run for the 5 testing moon. Again, this test function is running only on 5 dates, right? So just do a multiplication here. You know that there is 30 dates in the public leaderboard. So you need to run 30 dates under 5 hours.
We have 2 other questions that just arose from Christian and from Satya. The first question is from Christian and he says that he joined the competition and he wants to know what data he should use to train the algo because he's a bit confused.
So Christian, I recommend you to go through these basic notebooks, and when you run through this, so here there is a complete explanation, you know, about
share screen maybe.
Sorry, I'm not sharing screen. Oop, let me get back on share. Full screen and here. All right, so here, take this notebook. These notebooks again, you can find it when you're on the website. You go to submit, quick starter notebook. Here you have the data can be get by running this function. Load CrunchDAO load data. And here you will see the data that is available for training. Also in the advanced ADIA, you have a look at the data. You can have a look at the data. So download these notebooks, run it locally, run it on Collab, and this is going to be clear. You see here I'm loading the data, and you can see the train data set. But again, if you have any issue, don't hesitate to reach on Discord, and we can get in detail to this.
There is another question from Satya. He says from documentation, a unique so in the documentation it's written ID equal a unique identifier representing the investment vehicle at a given date. Note that the same asset has a different ID at each date. Here does investment vehicle and asset mean the same thing?
Yes. Yes, it's a stock basically. It's a company, but you don't have the same ID in each cross-section.
Then we have another question that is also quite interesting from Satya. Actually, it's a question from John, but that Satya just shared with us. And the question is the following. The evaluation score is the mean of Spearman correlation over each test date, or just one Spearman correlation over the whole test set?
It's one Spearman correlation over the whole test set. I think this is what you have also in the testing. Okay, no, I'm saying no. In the notebooks, to make it faster, you have one Spearman rank, but the competition is the mean Spearman rank that you will have in each cross-section. So here, but there is a very small difference. I agree this difference may be important at the end of the competition. So it's the mean Spearman score over the whole out of sample that will be the most important metric.
Okay. Then I think that we are clear on this one. Satya, I hope we answered your question. I see that you are typing, so we will maybe wait a few seconds before closing this Ask Me Anything session. And anyway, guys, we have like from now on every month we will have a Ask Me Anything session. The last one was actually 1 week ago. But now the next one is on the 25th of January, then 25th of July. So we have still some Ask Me Anything sessions, and of course there is the Ask Me Anything. There is the forum and the Discord where you can ask all your questions. But Satya has a last question. Assuming ID represents a stock name, as the hash of IDs is different for each date, it's not guaranteed that a specific stock will be present in all date. Number. Yes, sorry. Yeah. I'm a bit.
It's not.
Tired. Sorry, Satya.
It's not that. Yes, that's totally true, and it's not. It will be. It's complex to do a time series analysis for each stock here. You will not be able to do it. Basically, let's say, let's assume that there is, for example, NVIDIA in one of the time cross-section, and then so NVIDIA at this date will have one hash. Then NVIDIA at the next date will have a different ID. So you are not able to track NVIDIA in time. That's a particularity of this data set.
That's where the fun is coming from.
So it's also to avoid overfitting on some particular ID that has been very performant in the past. So again, I repeat, each stock in each time cross-section will have a different ID, not possible to track. Does it answer your question, Satya?
Gotcha. Yeah. Thanks for answering patiently. No, I mean, thank you for being with us, Satya. Okay, so let's close this Ask Me Anything session. Of course, it will be on YouTube for replay in a few hours. And let's continue the discussion on the Discord and on the forum. And please like this small Ask Me Anything session, and you can subscribe. We are not on YouTube yet, but when we will be, it's always a pleasure to get some followers. Bye-bye. Have a good day, and see you on the Discord.